No.
Okay. All right, we have a series of questions that we're asking all the candidates just to make sure that it's fair for everybody.
Okay.
Yeah, you want to go ahead?
My name's Becky Morgan. I serve on the board.
Okay.
And I'm Jennifer Dorhauer, also on the board.
And I'm Sheila Goins.
And I'm Jonathan Davis.
Okay.
Thank you for coming this morning.
Thank you for having me.
All right, tell us about your background, including your education, work experience, special skills, and knowledge.
I'm originally from Livingston, Louisiana. I moved out to Amarillo, Texas, where I spent a couple of years there. And then from there I went out to Seattle and then out to the Bay Area. But while in the Bay Area, I basically needed to make some money, steady money. So I saw that they were advertising for a library assistant in Napa County, California. So I took the test, made it past the test, I think over 100 applicants, and then I was called in for an interview, and then I was chosen. And from there I was able to work my way up to a library assistant too, and then I stayed in the library in Napa County for a few years, and then after that I moved back to New Orleans. Got into the theology program at Xavier University, and then while there, also got into the library associate position for the library. So that's why I was able to pursue my bachelor's there in theology. Did that for a few years, and I was able to work my way up from to acquisitions associate, and then the acquisitions and collections supervisor. And in that position, I was very grateful because the director specifically tailored the position for me because she felt that I was able to do the job competently, because there wasn't someone fulfilling that position at the time, fulfilling that role. And then after doing that for a couple of years, she suggested that I pursue my master's in library science. It wasn't the plan, but I figured why not. And I was glad I did it. I was glad I did it because it was a challenge, and not everyone, I think, is able to attain a master's degree. And it afforded me the opportunity to work my way up more so in the library. So from there, once I acquired my MLIS, I went out to Fort Polk, the Army base. I did that for a few months as a librarian. And then from there, I am where I am now as a head librarian at the UNS Community College in academia.
Who's his thesis?
And you mentioned about special skills. I wouldn't say so much special, but I have worked in different departments throughout the library, circulation, acquisitions, ILL. I'm now in administration basically, so. But I like to say I guess I'm a jack of all trades. So.
What was your thesis for your master's program?
It focused on literature. It was more sort of a bibliography, where it listed different books that focused on theology and focused on a specific subject in theology, dealing with the spiritual meanings, that type of thing. But it wasn't so much a thesis, but it was a thesis, but more so focused on giving explanations on different literature, as I said, on that particular topic. But I can't remember exactly the title, but
Okay.
That was pretty much the gist of it.
All right, why are you interested in this position, and how does it fit in with your personal plans and goals for the future?
I think that it's a privilege to to be in the role of a library director. Not everyone can do this position. Not everyone has a desire to do the position. It's a challenging position I have to take on. You have to fulfill multiple roles. You have to pretty much meet the needs of your staff, which could be multiple people. You have to be able to meet the needs of your community or the community that you're serving. You have to be able to partner with different business leaders and that sort of thing throughout the area. And at the same time, you have to be able to simply love the job, I think. And I think the library director is a very special role, and I think that I'm able to do the job well. But more than that, I see it as a role as a server, and being able to serve, again, all those who are under your leadership, the community, the staff, government officials, so on and so forth. I also see it as, again, a privilege and an opportunity to work my way up to the upper echelon of the library world, which is something that I'm interested in. So, yeah, that pretty much sums it up.
I know you said you are at Nunez now. How many employees are under you?
I have one assistant librarian, one library specialist, and a couple of student workers.
All right, tell us how your previous administrative experience will assist you in this position.
Since taking on this role, I think that I've learned that you have to be able to open yourself up to your staff. You have to be able to be patient and understanding, but you also have to be able to be professional at the same time and realize and remember that you're serving, well, not so much serving, but you have to lead your staff in a competent manner. There has been a few bumps because when I started the position, the staff had a particular way of doing things, and they also had a certain reputation on campus with the executive team and also with the faculty and so on and so forth. The reputation it wasn't so much a welcoming place. So when I started the position, my goal was to pretty much do outreach and marketing, especially as a liaison with the faculty, executive team, the staff, so on and so forth. And I think that, in my personal opinion, the library has become more open, more welcoming. There's been a larger patron count of people that started entering into the library. I was able to start different clubs, a book club, a book talk, that sort of thing. Been collaborating with different faculty, different departments throughout the campus, and even collaborating with executive teams and that sort of thing. There's still a ways to go, but I think that I've been able to grow as the head librarian, and even with my administrative abilities, I've been able to grow into their role, I think. But that's my own personal opinion, of course.
Okay, and I'm not sure if this is applicable. Explain your previous experience working for a board or for other public officials.
I've never worked on a board. I'm currently the secretary for the Faculty Senate. I also currently work with one of the members of the Nunez Foundation. She's the founder of the Southern Food and Beverage Museum, and she currently has a research center on the second floor of the library, where it's called the SOFAB, Southern Food and Beverage Research Center. And through collaborating with her, I've become more familiar, more knowledgeable with Nunez's foundation. But as for sitting on the board myself, I've never done that, no.
What is your experience working with preparing and administering budgets and managing projects?
When I was the acquisitions and collections supervisor, I was allotted a certain portion of a budget. So I had to, stay within the parameters of that budget when I had to acquire certain materials, collections, that sort of thing. And I also was a part of the budget committee. But that's pretty much the extent of my experience with the budget.
So that's not something that you do currently in your director's position?
Unfortunately, at Nunez, the budget is only controlled by the Business Affairs Office, or the Business Office, which is by the CFO. We have to put out a requisitions order and pretty much ask for certain material, and it has to be approved. But since I've been working there, and I think my understanding is that for a few years now, the budget isn't controlled by anyone other than the business office. So that's just pretty much the way it goes. But I think that may be a part of the LCTCS system. But don't hold me to that. It may just be a new thing.
Yeah.
But okay. but I don't have the opportunity to control my own budget, unfortunately.
How much was your budget when you were in acquisitions?
Maybe about 20 to 30,000.
Okay.
That's when I was over at Xavier.
Okay.
It was pretty substantial, but not a lot.
What is your experience with public relations, like media, on-camera speaking, et cetera?
I currently work, I want to say collaborate with, but, you know, the director of communications for NUNAS, pretty much whenever we're having some type of event that's going on at the library, I communicate with him. I may type up some type of blurb or summary of what's going on, and then I email it to him. I may call him, and he posts that on our website or for announcement or Facebook or Twitter or something like that. He also helps me use his camera, so I can take a few pictures of the event sometimes, so that's pretty nice of him, I think. And just doing outreach, marketing, reaching out, talking to people face to face. But we do have our own communications director who's responsible for posting and getting the announcements out for different events that's going on campus.
What is your experience with planning and policy making?
I have to, one of my roles is being responsible for documenting certain procedures and processes for the library. So I do that from time to time. I've also done that with when I was at Xavier as acquisitions and collection supervisor. My previous director at Xavier, she was able to allow the staff to become familiar with lean principles. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but that's basically a way to streamline your workload, your process, so that is you can document it and you can follow a chart or some type of written down procedures for how you're going about your workload that is more efficient, that is more efficient and doesn't waste time. So that's something I try to apply with everything that I do now. But as I said, pretty much at the job now where I am responsible for documenting certain steps, that type of thing. So I have to update certain policies in our manual, the library's manual, so I've done a couple of alterations with that. We're also currently working on a SACS for 2027, so I'm currently updating that information, working on a narrative, working with our director, what's her title? I forget her title, but she's over the SACS procedure process. But yeah, that's one of the different things that I do now.
So you're working to write the narrative
Yeah.
for the library? SAC COC is the accrediting agency.
Yes,
all
it's very
colleges.
exciting.
It's a tough,
Yeah, it's
it's a
not,
tough thing. It's not easy to attain, SACS accreditation,
writing the document is fearful. We all hate it.
very much.
Tell us about your experience using and/or introducing new technologies.
Unfortunately, at NUNAS, because our budget's pretty tight, we don't have, well, okay, so I've decided I've tried to be sparing with what I ask to acquire for the library. But my time at Xavier, we were able to make a few, we implemented Summons, which is a system used to, Summons is a system used to grab, when you're getting, I'm sorry. When you're getting the new periodical subscription and so on and so forth, Summons is used to pretty much trigger those periodicals, those journals, scholarly material, so that the patrons can access it. So that's one thing I was able to utilize. I was responsible for getting that started. Currently at NUNAS, we're also working with Lewis to implement ALMA, which is a new library management system. That's supposed to be up and running by December 2026, but we're currently at the initiation phase. But yeah, I pretty much sums it up.
Will that like manage all of the databases, et cetera?
It pretty much, it manages everything.
Right.
It manages circulation, acquisitions of serials. Our patrons are going to use that for discovery researches throughout our entire collection. It pretty much manages the entire system digitally. So that's the way that our patrons will be able to search and access our materials. Also, our staff is going to use that to pretty much operate for the library and keep track of our patrons, keep track of our material. Yeah.
How would you ensure the needs are met for the community, and have you ever sought personal grants?
I did apply for a grant through the Library Management, an Institute of Museum and Library Services. Unfortunately, I didn't get it, but it was a good learning process, and I do intend to work on it again once the federal government begins to allow us to start doing it again. But that's one of my goals, is to apply for that again, because I'm really dissatisfied with not getting it. As I mentioned before, I did start a book talk and also a book club on campus. So that did bring in a couple of people from the community over in Chalmette, but it wasn't as successful as I would have liked. The goal is always to try to bring in more people from the community, because as a government documents institution, where we have state documents, the community is able to come in, not just the Nunes community, but those throughout St. Bernard Parish and further beyond. So my goal has been to increase the population count outside of just simply Nunes. And it has, again, it's increased to a certain extent, but not to the extent that I would like, because Nunes is more of a community campus where students come in and then they leave. But, yeah.
What was your grant for, that you were going for?
My goal was to first get digitization equipment. Also, our archives is, the room that it currently is in is not of the greatest quality. So I would love to have created a space where it was more accommodating for our archives. Also, I wanted to try and get some gaming equipment for the baseball team, and also for our students to simply get them to stay on campus longer, specifically in the library, because as I said, it's more of a community campus. But as I said, that's something that I have in the future, because I'm still waiting for the federal government to allow it to happen. But even if not, I do plan to work on private grants as well, because working with Liz, who was, as I said, the SOFAB founder, who's up on the second floor of the library, she introduced me to a few private grants that I wanted to get my hands on and try to see if I qualify for that.
How would you ensure that the library has a good selection of materials of all ages?
So, because we're an academic library, majority of our students are adults, but we do have the CDYC program, which has a certain branch within their program where they're teaching them to be teachers of young students. I think the age range is 1 to 5 or something like that. So we do have children's books. But again, it's not tailored for children, it's tailored for teachers in that program, basically. But my personal stance is that I try to follow the law. I try to follow policies that's codified. I try to stay within those parameters, and regardless of my personal feelings or beliefs, I try to abide by those certain laws and principles.
What trends do you see impacting the library industry?
I think that, especially that we're moving into the 21st century, the library is more so of a communal space. It's more of a gathering space than just simply sitting around reading a book, simply sitting at a desk with your head down, speaking quietly. It's more of a gathering space. It's more of a space used for different events, special occurrences, that sort of thing. So what I envision is a library that's a lively place where the community can come in and utilize the space for different purposes, outside of just simply, again, reading books. But at the same time, the goal is to keep up with the most current literature that's going to help to continue to inform the community and inform the population to where they're meeting their needs and their desires, but also able to grow scholastically and become productive citizens of the community.
So what are you currently doing in your library with like ebooks versus print? Are y'all going completely to electronics, or do you still keep a balance?
So we still have our material stacked on the second floor. It's some of the material is sort of from the early 1900s. Some is more current, but the more useful, more current material is electronic. We acquire our material through Lewis, which is a consortium for the entire state. And through them, we have access to multiple ebooks, scholarly journals, audiobooks, so on and so forth. And with our population, our circulation with print is not as high, but the electronic resources are more utilized than just simply the print books.
So if you were here in this library system, what would your plan be for electronic versus print books?
I would want it to be evenly used. The goal would be so that everyone can have access to both print and electronic, because electronic is convenient for everyone. You can utilize that and access it 24 hours a day from anywhere, any location. But also print books too, I think can never become obsolete, because in my personal opinion, there's nothing better than having a book in your hand and being able to read it and flip through the pages and so on and so forth. But I understand that with a lot of today's populations, they prefer to have e-resources. So again, I would want to have that easily accessible, but I can never state the importance of print books in my personal opinion.
What policies or procedures would you like to introduce to the Livingston Parish Library?
Mm-hmm. From what I saw by looking at the website, reading over the manual, library's manual, I'm actually pretty impressed by what you're already doing. Before I was to initiate anything that I personally would want for myself, I would want to learn more about what the community needs are and what the expectations are. But as I said, currently what you have going on and what's already in place, which I've seen is very efficient. It's documented very well. It's expressed and laid out very clearly. I wouldn't want to change much of that. But again, I will first want to learn more about the population and community and what their desires and needs are before I was to just simply initiate anything.
What would your future mission and vision be for the Livingston Parish Library?
Yeah, I would want, again, to become, I don't want to say outsider, but basically an outsider. My goal would be to allow the community to become more familiar with who I am. Coming from the greater New Orleans area, I'm sure maybe some of my cultural understandings may be a bit different. But overall, I think that as Louisianians, we all share common traits, common ideals. So I would want to be more involved in the community. I would want to, again, practice a great extent of outreach, because I think it's important that the director has a face for the public to see. But also, I would want to be a leader and a steady presence for the staff here, so that they are familiar with me as well, my work style, I'm able to learn their work style. And again, just simply let my presence be known as best I can.
You mentioned work style. What is your management style?
I'm of the mind that a library staff is competent and efficient and well-versed in library principles enough to be able to work autonomously. But I've also learned as a head librarian that there are times where when new people come in and change is expected, that some people are not as well-versed or well inclined to those changes. So I want to apply certain change management principles to that. And also, I would like to be able to get their viewpoint, learn more about maybe some of their expectations, because again, before I come along, there's a culture that's already here. So I would want to better understand what's the culture of the library before I start. But also as the head librarian or administrative librarian or director of the library, I'm expected to lead in a certain way. So I would have to pretty much be forceful in a certain sense, if that makes any certain sense.
And if you were offered this position, what would be your top 3 priorities and how would you determine them?
Top priority would be to, again, get to learn more about my staff. I would want to learn more about the literature in the stacks, the books that's in the stacks. And I will also want to venture out into to the public, to the community, and learn more, and give them an opportunity to learn more about me. I would say that sequential order is the order that I want to go by. I think that it's important to, again, allow my staff to know me, to branch out to the community, so on and so forth. So, but yeah, in that particular order.
Okay, the next portion of,
One quick question.
oh,
real quick.
go right ahead, Jonathan.
How many employees do you currently manage, and have you ever managed a larger amount?
No, I mentioned earlier that I have,
Okay.
I have an assistant librarian and a library specialist, and we have two student workers.
2 student workers.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is that the whole, or how many employees does the whole library?
Yeah, it's just
So it's
a
just
small
the two?
academic library.
Okay.
Okay, the next are a series of scenario questions of how you would react in these circumstances. So the first one, there are always contentious events occurring around the world that inspire citizens to protest publicly. How would you deal with a request to protest, such as against the Israeli-Hamas conflict at one of the library facilities?
Yeah, as I mentioned before, I believe in following what the law says and what the policy says, what's codified, and whatever the manual is, or code of conduct, and what the local parish and state allows. So if it is allowed for protests to take place, then I would allow that. But I'm sure that there would have to be some type of order, some type of discipline, that sort of thing. But I will first need to learn and read up on what's allowed, and if it's allowed, then I will allow it to happen.
How would you handle an unscheduled public protest at a library facility that is disrupting the flow of traffic to and from the entrance?
I will want to get the law enforcement involved. I will want to get some type of security because if it's unscheduled, that sounds as if it's unplanned. And again, I'm a strong believer in following the laws and rules. So if that's the case, then I want to involve local law enforcement.
And third part of it, how would you handle a group of protesters that showed up at a large library event such as our Comic-Con or our book festival that's coming up?
Yeah, again, I would like to involve security, but I would also try to make sure that there isn't enough people. I would want to try and quell any type of high tensions if that's the case. But again, my first step would be to involve local law enforcement.
All right, our second scenario. In every professional setting, interdepartmental conflicts can arise. How would you go about handling an interdepartmental conflict between two department heads or managers at the library who disagree about how to plan, publicize, and staff an event?
Yeah, I think it's important to have meetings. My first step would be to meet with each individual person who's involved in the conflict individually and talk over the situation and get a better understanding. And then possibly, I would want to, not possibly, but I would want to get those two in the same room together and sort of act as a mediator or intercessor, and try to resolve the issue if possible. I would want to believe that in a professional setting, we can all be professional people, but that's the first step that I want to take.
Do you have experience mediating?
I
Employee
had to have a
differences?
mediator. I had a very difficult staff when I first started. I mentioned about change management and some people having difficulties with new changes coming and taking place. So I understood that particular worker was there for years, like before Katrina had happened. So she was very knowledgeable. She was set in her own ways. So I wanted to sympathize and empathize with the situation. But after a certain point, it had gotten to the point where it had gotten out of hand to where I had to get someone to step in and pretty much, as I say, mediate the situation.
How would you proceed if one department head or manager refused to allow their direct reports to assist with a project or event because they disagreed with a colleague?
Again, I want to be understanding. But I would also explain that in this position you have certain obligations, certain expectations with your role. So if they were unable to go through with what was expected, then I would want to apply certain disciplinary actions. And if that isn't enough to be a deterrent, then I would basically have to either suspend or something along that lines to show that there are certain expectations that comes along with the position, with the job.
And how do you lead dueling department heads or managers back to a common goal and harmonious professionalism?
Again, I think it's important that everyone is able to come together. So I would want to have a meeting again, first individually, and try to get a better understanding of what's going on, and then have some type of meeting where we can all get together face to face and have that discussion and hopefully come to a resolution.
All right, our third scenario, I know that Livingston Parish Library is a little different from academia, where you're from. Our library is predominantly funded by ad valorem taxes from a millage that is voted on by the citizens of our parish. How would you go about handling a situation where a single elected official publicly advocates cuts to both the operating budget and millage of the library system that you know will cause a reduction in services, staffing, and hours?
Yeah, so that's a bit out of my realm, but I would want to involve the local, I don't know if it's called the lawyer or whoever's responsible for the local law in the parish.
We have a parish council.
Parish council. So I guess I would try to speak with them and learn more about what the steps are in that particular situation. And I would also want to meet and speak with that particular person that you mentioned. But my knowledge in that area is pretty scant. So.
How would you prepare the Board of Control to understand the budgetary and millage cuts and the subsequent reduction in services, staffing, and hours?
The most I will be able to do is come up with a report and work with the, I don't know if it's an accountant, what's the exact title for the person that works in the library that's over that particular role. But I'll work with them in a way to pretty much draw up a line item of each of the expenses and then share that with the board.
And how would you handle a situation where the budget or millage has been reduced to levels that will not allow you to maintain current levels of service, staffing, and hours?
Yeah, again, that's pretty much out of my realm. So I would have to learn more about the steps that's in that particular position, that role.
All right, and the last scenario. All public libraries experience challenges with reading materials based on content, scope, and reading level. How would you handle a situation where a single library patron submits dozens of material reconsideration forms at once?
I would work with the team that's over that particular responsibility. And again, I would want to use the library manual's policy to see how you go about handling that particular situation. But I've never done that in my own personal experience. But I would want to follow the steps that's expected in the policy of the manual.
You don't have material reconsideration forms at Nunez?
We have suggestion forms where you can make a request on what you want, but if someone was to, I guess, make a complaint, we do have steps for it. I've never had to personally do it, but I have to read up on it basically to find out what's the steps to learn about it.
How do you maintain the integrity of the library's collections while also addressing the concerns of material reconsiderations?
Could you read that one more time?
How do you maintain the integrity of the library's collections while also addressing the concerns of material reconsiderations?
I would want to get a better understanding of what the book is, and from my own personal experience, my own personal professional understanding of what's acceptable and so on and so forth, I would make a determination and also work with the staff that's over that particular role. And after coming to a consensus, let the person know what the final decision is. But sometimes you have to go against the grain.
And how do you handle the situation where the submission of material reconsideration forms has caused dueling factions of patrons to disrupt Board of Control meetings over them?
In that type of situation, again, the most I can suggest is that you try to be empathetic and understanding in that situation, but at a certain point, some final decision has to be made. And again, it's based off of the rules and the policies that's expected of me in that particular role. And even if it's unpopular, if that's what's expected of me, then that's what I would do. To me, it doesn't get any more straightforward than that.
All right, the rest of our questions are dealing with, I guess, specifics of your former workplace, and these typically take place in executive session unless the interview candidate requests that they be made public.
Executive session is fine.
Okay. So we'll dismiss for that.